to the back of the bus. And I'm just like, let me get these boys together because they just back there carrying, cussing and carrying on. So I go to the back of the bus, and they just so happen to be talking about girls. I'm like, oh Lord, fix it, Jesus. I can't. So, you know, I walk to the back of the bus, they're all in the back, they're being riders, talking about girls. And one of them asked me, he was like, so, Eric, you bagged mad girls in college, right? And I'm like, in my head, I thought of my mentor, and in my thinking of him in my mind and my immediate irkness, I'm just like, I'm grown, sit down. Like, nobody asked me no questions like that. And then, you know, they kept asking me, like, no, really, like, you know, how was college like? Like, you had to, like, bag a lot of girls, right? And it took me aback, and I was kind of shook in that moment. And I thought to myself, what do I say in this moment? Do I say that I spent most of my college time on the DL? Do I tell them that, you know, I'm finally out after all these years of being in the DL? And so I said in response, you know, college was cool, but I didn't really date females. And they were like, wait, what? Like, what? You didn't date no females? Like, what are you saying? What are you saying for real? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't date females. I'm gay. And then there was a huge long pause. And in my mind, I'm like, oh shit. Did I really say that out loud? Like, I kind of did that by mistake. And the long pause is kind of continuing. And then, like, one of the boys came out and said, so what you're saying is you bagged mad dudes in college. And I'm like, sit down, you gotta stop minding your own business. And so I said that to say that it ended up being fun. And like, I was my biggest enemy and my own imposter when it came to sharing my outness with that. And I mentioned my mentor, and I can't continue this story without mentioning him because he was a huge influence in my life. And my story really centers around my blackness and my sexual identity, and that's who my mentor was. So I went to Penn State. We are!
Penn State.
And I joined a choir that he founded called Essence of Joy. And his name is Dr. Anthony Tony Leach. He's an unapologetic black, queer, published scholar, composer, world-class musician, conductor, pianist, organist, singer, life giver, and life snatcher. Look him up on Google.
Look him up.
And you know, through his model of excellence, I learned to enter spaces as my whole self at all times and avoid spaces that do not celebrate the fullness of me. And I'm a PK, which means preacher's kid. And so I grew up in a very religious household that did not celebrate all aspects of myself at all times. So I entered college very broken, very angry, very hurt, very confused. And it was Dr. Leach and the inclusive community that he created with Essence of Joy that gave me permission to be my whole self at all times and to stop compartmentalizing my queerness or my blackness, but to arrive in all spaces unapologetically and be like, this is me, take it or leave it. If you don't like it, I'm here anyway. It's fine. And, you know, as a current educator of pre-K through 5th grade students, I'm very intentional about how I present to my students and how I bring my whole self to the classroom. And I give them permission to develop into their whole selves and to make mistakes and to be as expressive as possible. And that's the beauty of being a musician, is that we give our students that permission to use their voices, to use their bodies, to use an instrument. Because, you know, sometimes words aren't enough. And, you know, my favorite day of teaching so far, it was exactly a month ago today that we had picture day at my school. And I ended every single music class 10 minutes early. And we literally did a runway. And the category was School Day Realness with the PS32 twist. And these kids were just serving looks. I mean, we had the bobos, we had the braids, we had the cornrows, we had the haircuts, the press shirts, the dresses, everything. And then the other day, one of my kindergarten students was wearing a dress, and I just was just celebrating him so much for wearing his dress and being unapologetic. And like, it's so beautiful how human our kids are, and we have to nurture that gift and that expression as much as we can, whenever we can. And I can go on and on and on and on, but I'll wrap up by saying this. As a black queer educator that's out, I recognize how important my role is and my presence is in my community. And my prayer every day is that my presence gives our students permission to be themselves, to feel love, to feel joy, to feel human. And my prayer continues for those who are DL, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a family member, whether you're a student, that you feel that support and love too. Because we can't forget, being out is a privilege. And it's not afforded to everyone. And we have that privilege and that experience in our country and within certain cultures to have those conversations. And it's not the same for everyone's culture, for their racial background or their religious heritage or where they come from around the globe. These are conversations that are forbidden, or they can be killed, or anything can happen. So, my prayer is that, for those who are not out, that they find ways to feel that love and support without bringing harm to themselves or others. And one last thing, if it wasn't for Dr. Leach, love him so dearly, being unapologetically out and black and queer in a predominantly white space, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm just super grateful that I'm in a position to not only raise our kids, but their parents. And for any educators who are not out, know that there are people like me who are out here having the hard conversations on your behalf, so one day we can all be out and free.